right. Yeah, heavy on the grind, I find. In these times we survive and rise the most treacherous.
Shane Tamura, New York shooter, bio female, aboriginal, skull fit, skull check, and only one gate. Celestial rising, divine afternoon, and grand night to the beautiful divine mirage. Watching this mindful message. It's your divine reflection, divine messenger, or your divine observer, and we are back with another observation. And understand, if you choose to and you enjoy these types of videos, make sure you like, comment, subscribe for more divine messages. And to all the new people who are subscribing constantly to the Patreon, for example, even my YouTube as well, and other social media sites that I'm on, I appreciate you and welcome to being unified with contradictions that are going to help us understand theatrics. So shout out always to Skull and Gate. And if you ever want to know how, or if you ever want to know what you are as far as gender, and if you ever want to figure out your background to this simulation and your genetics and how your genetic makeup has caused you to act a certain way or be a certain way or go through certain things, and if you want to transcend that, to rewire your database to where now your DNA becomes aware of itself, now it can open up into a currency that you can flow through abundance, because you're not causing so much strain upon your vessel, upon your muscles, upon your perception, upon your life. Skull and Gate can help you out. And the thing is too, it's not that hard to honestly figure out how to do it for yourself as well, but practice will be able to help you be consistent with it. Now, for these types of videos too, contradict everything and question everything. I say that because you may think as if that this is a man, but the whole entire time it is a woman playing as a man. And not only that, this character is playing an act upon society, because the people or the beings that have higher control to work with higher architectures, because these higher architectures have no form, but they need energy, they need that source, they need that substance that flows through our body every single day, that helps us move and become freely expressive with what we want to do as far as our actions, just our mannerisms, and just the way we move within this society. These beings need that energy to keep functioning their notion upon, or their agenda upon society. And not only on top of that, because I was just looking into it, and supposedly this being went up to an NFL headquarters in New York City to go shoot up some people, and then ended up shooting itself. And that's all because, and we have a lot to cover as well, but that's all because, you know, this being right here, for one, does not exist as well. Because this situation is basically rooted within not only a trans groomer agenda, but infesting the system through words and numerology, through an infestation for demonic interpretations. And the thing is too, these things aren't demonic, but the script that we are reading for today is going to help us understand why this being decided to sacrifice itself. Because, now, of course with alignment as well, but because this being had to follow script. When you are working with, you know, the highest orders of Freemason, Luciferianism, these dark occultic societies and things, so somebody can say, I don't believe that this is just going to be accurate, because people who read Gematria, people who read numbers and align them, are just trying to make a dark situation out of what can be positive. When we read Gematria, for one, people have to be able to contradict what they're reading and what they're teaching as well. This being understands that, and also remember this, the beginning and the ending will always remain with this. Love is the answer for any and everything. And to protect our DNA, we have to be able to work together. And that means by going away from profound ignorance. But where is it at? So, True Woman Show, chosen programming, we act as one global mind. I see it clearly now, because I don't exist. Transurrection, will we ascend today? Now, before we begin to that, we have to be able to go into what we're going to read for today. And also, shout out to Skull and Gate for understanding that this being is a part of the agenda. So, when I mean a part of the agenda, shout out to, I ain't gonna lie, this video is going to be everywhere because, you know, I'm just not waking up as well. So I'm trying to gather my thoughts very slowly. So I do appreciate you for the patience. But when it comes down to these patients that need help, shout out to Kason is Divine. So he sent this in my DM and video idea on how all serial killers are Psyop, psychological operations, including ones like John Wayne Gacy. And I've seen what John Wayne Gacy did, and it leads up to 33. Every time something leads up to 33 degrees, excuse me, they're basically telling on themselves. They're telling you what people are not aware of. And excuse me, because they're not aware of this, that's why a lot of people get their energy harvested. And it's like why too a lot of the crisis actors portray a certain narrative upon the news stations that cause the person watching to think as if they're harmed or they've been crucified or they got their life taken just by gunfire. And then it makes it even worse too because these beings know that they're starting up a bunch of race wars, because if you have somebody who looks like this that's walking up into an establishment and airing it out, now people on the internet are going to cause and place more negative energy upon people like us and even light-skinned individuals who don't really understand that we're all basically watching a movie in person. But the movie, we can decide to cut the movie off because we're not going to the movie theater to pay for this movie. No, we still pay for the movie, but it's different if you watch it in person, and it's different when you watch it on the news, because the north, the east, the west, and the south corridors are the simulation, this box of our imagination. It's going to project, excuse me, it's going to project and descend what the dreamer is not creating just yet. Creation happens when the love we have or supposed to have for our higher self loses the way of getting away from distortion that wants to give birth to what it already killed. Shane D. Tamura, Blackstone NFL, Manhattan, New York City, shooting and gunfire. Then 33, Entry, Park Avenue. So 27-year-old maniac identifies Las Vegas resident Shane Tamura, barged into the 44-story building which houses Blackstone NFL headquarters, armed with a rifle, and opened fire at around 6:30 p.m. during the evening rush. Cops and law enforcement sources told the Post. Suspect found dead at the shooting spree in Park Avenue skyscraper. 2 victims in critical condition. Now, numbers control the simulation. Numbers tell us what's going to happen next. These beings, of course, they set the stage. So the stage was going to be Blackstone NFL headquarters. They already had this in mind. This has been going on for years, centuries, eons. They've been planning this out, and people are just now catching up to it. So now they're telling you, and they had to tell you through numbers because they had to make sure that they're watching if humanity is going to evolve. That's basically all these beings do right here. They look to see if beings are capable of contradicting what just happened by not feeding into it. When people feed into it, they now lose their way of what they have to focus on. That's basically their reaction timing. 44 stories, 33rd floor. Coincidence? I think not. The day of this event, 7/28/2025, comes with a numerology of 44. 7/28 plus 2 plus 0 plus 2 plus 5 because 0 holds no value in Gematria. The day, July 28th, leaves 156 days in the year. It's all part of the plan. It's all part of the agenda. So shout out to you, and I said I can make a video on that because it's a stage act to see if the sacrifice is willing to get themselves up to harvest a massive energy. And that's exactly what this being did. This being, and the thing is, so they're telling you, okay, so they're going to think that your name is Shane D. Tamura. You're going to go to Blackstone NFL. You're going to blame them for your CTE, and you're going to do it in New York City because why? They're at the highest point of a parallel that can siphon a lot of energy, and it'll trickle down to the south, to the west, to the north, and people will feel a normalization of shootings. So that whole script is telling all this stuff right there by aligning with what this actor was going to be doing in this stage that was set by these degrees and higher. The only difference is the degrees or the degrees that do this stuff are the ones who are called 33rd degree Masons. But there are higher orchestrators that tell them what to do. I'm going to slow down too. The issue date of Tamura's firearm permit happens to be Donald Trump's birthday, 6/14, so 88 as well. And this shooting also comes 44 days after Trump's 79th birthday. 44 times 2 equals 88. So Saturday, June 14, 2025. Monday, July 28, 2025. So, once again, allowance. And the being has something to do with it because it's all going to coexist for what the architecture was told to cast by being the scapegoat, being the reason why these things are happening, because, the fault is going to be on you. But people who cannot read numbers, people who cannot read situations or even scriptings won't understand why this man did what they did. It comes 330 days after New York City's mayor, Eric Leroy Adams' birthday, September 1st, 1960. So September 1st, 2024, Monday, July 28th, 2025, 33 degrees. Letting you know that off this script alone, which is most likely a woman as well, but off the script alone, sacrifice. How fitting that Eric Adams is also a Freemason. Sacrifice, letting you know. And the thing is, so you can just tell. So woman, 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 woman. And of course with the handshake, with the firm grip, and they got the apron. So all these different things, like letting you know that the beings who are all part of this stuff have a role. They have a say-so on what goes on, and nobody's going to tell them otherwise, because in politics, we're not on their level to even tell them what to do, because we don't give them the orders. They only follow orders because there's money involved into it. And when there's money involved into it, then you can now meet up with your competitors, because you're here for a different initiative, and they like that. They need your energy. The shooting date comes 88 months after Blackstone co-founder Peter G. Peterson's death. March 20th, 2018, age 91 years old. Manhattan, New York, United States. And even this being knew that as well. So the beings, and of course this being will also come right back, because they understood what was going to happen through their name as well. So March 20th, 2018, and then July 28th, 2025, 88 months. Tamura, and then Peter George Peterson. So they're all connected as well. They're all in the same exact family. The only difference is their costume. But either way it goes, though, they work for the same exact fraternity, the same exact order, the same exact God, Lucifer. So, but it's happening now. The next NFL game in Manhattan is on August 16th, a Saturday, between the New York Giants and the New York Jets. It's a preseason game with tickets starting at $27, according to New York City. The game starts at 7 o'clock p.m. New York Giants, New York Jets. Both team names tie into the shooting ritual numerically. And the thing is, too, they have something to do with it as well. So all entertainment, all these sacrifices that people are enjoying, they all have a say-so on what goes on, because they all work for the same exact team. Their team is to satisfy Luciferians, because the beings who are Freemasons, they're the ones who are the foot soldiers for the beings who are controlling the way of everybody else's mind control. And the thing is, too, we are the reason for that mind control, and we have forgotten our way. Now, the thing is, too, we got crisis actors, so Aurora, Sandy Hook, Boston, San Bernardino, and Orlando. 50 dead, 53 injured, and worst mass shooting in U.S. history. Reminder, H.R.5736 Smith-Mundt Modernization Act of 2012. The Smith-Mundt Modernization Act, SMMA, allows U.S. government to treat the American people as enemies of the state, just as they would treat a foreign enemy, and this to allowing stage and fake events to be treated as movies and be used by the media. The State Department and Pentagon now legally utilizes all forms of media against American citizens, including fake shootings, bombings, terrorist attack, for the sake of coercing U.S. citizens to believe whatever version of the truth the U.S. government wants them to believe. So these beings have legalized what this act, showing you that whatever they do, they can control your emotions by staging fake events and portraying them to be movies. And the media is going to eat it up, because, once again, who can see through the lies? I mean, you might as well cut your TV on and go to Hulu, Amazon Prime, Netflix, and go watch a movie that's just like this. All you're doing is watching the same exact replaying of energy harvesting. And they had to do it because, once again, these beings are all telling you that they're crisis actors, or even gender inverted actors that know that they're playing their script because they need attention constantly. And the thing is, too, there's all love to all beings who are gay, straight, lesbian, transgender. It does not matter. What matters is, what role are you playing in with the intentions that you know you can work around, or you can work through, or you can choose to not work into. And there we go. Let me go get myself waking up and all that, or awaken. And the thing is, the people who are, inverted, these beings know that they were born to deceive humanity. And the people who are not aware of their game, they may fall into it because they're cutting it on. Not only just that, you got the symbolism through damn near everything, the sound vibration, the light symbolism, the stations that control the corridors of our imagination. You got the acting, you have the satanic religion, you have secret societies going on, you have people who don't even exist, people who are wearing costumes playing as men, and people who have this victim mentality just with their emotions to deceive another game that people are not able to detect because they're not doing the work. And the thing is too, I just seen this on Twitter, and it figures there was a fire drill to just 5 minutes before a shooting. I wonder what's on the guy's necklace. Santa Fe shooting. Students say fire drill started 5 minutes before gunshots began. Freemason. Report shooter walked into a conference room, opened fire, who repeatedly asked for medical attention. Freemasons. These people want to act so damn bad. And then it's just like when you give them publicity, it's like they lose themselves in the process. And it's just like you got rid of your morals because you wanted to be next to a bunch of people. And the thing is too, it's one thing to get rid of your morals if you know about Luciferianism through Freemasonry. But if you don't know about it and you get introduced to it and you stay, you're no worse than, you're no worse than a roach. I mean, you basically are getting rid of your bond with the Almighty Creator because you want to be amongst beings who have no comprehension on what they're supposed to be doing in this world. They make their purpose considered to be evil through the actions that they commit upon society because they have forgotten what they're supposed to be doing here. Not only just that, their purpose is to maneuver and manipulate people's minds. So when we watch this right here, we're going to understand that these people understand that this event does not matter. They for one, everybody's eating the exact same way. The people who are covering the stories are the ones who are getting paid top dollar. The people who orchestrate the play within society are getting paid top dollar. The people who are sacrificing themselves for the stories to get covered are getting paid a tremendous amount of dollars. The people who tell the being what to wear and how to act and how to operate the certain route, the certain walk, the way that they're going to wear, like different costumes, or even the stylist that put on the costume for them, and the AR that the person was given, these things are all meant to consume more money. Not only just that, energy, because if they can control what you fear, then you lose yourself in the process of fearing what you can't even fathom. People fear what they can't even see because what you can't even see is not even realistic, but it's a play on what you're going to put a feeling into. How do you feel when you know somebody who's out there that can just obliterate anybody that they want to, and that will cause you to stay inside? Good. Now that you can stay inside, we can make sure we can still lie to you on the TV screen. And when that happens, you're going to sit here and think, damn, maybe the outside world is like that. I don't really want y'all to go outside for real because it's just too scary out there. You never know what can happen. You're now becoming the spellcaster. You're becoming the shooter. You're becoming the fear that people don't know if they should be fearing it or not. There are some people out there who tell their children, I don't want you going to these places by yourself or this and that because I fear what can happen to you. You're now going to create that thought form to where it may affirm itself into the physical one day. Because your child's subconscious mind will constantly replay that with what you said, with the feeling of being in fright. And because like even with the Columbine school shooting, excuse me, I remember when I first heard about that, and that caused me to be frightful. Because the thing is too, when that happened, and understand with this too, 6 years in jail for Columbine obsessed trans teen who plotted school shooting. Why is it always that? And when I first heard about this in school, I was terrified because I was like, and I forgot when this happened. No, 1999. So I wasn't even born. No, I was born. But when this first happened, and then I heard about it in school, like when I was in elementary school, whatever, middle school, that's when I was understanding like, damn, people really coming to school, shooting people up. And then that's when that first day I heard about it and I was young, I thought to myself, damn, somebody here could really kill me one day. So I have to be careful and treat people the way that I want to be treated. But even still though, I can still get knocked off the simulation, even if I am being nice to this being. So I had to be able to watch my surroundings and my environment when it does happen, but then watch the script. So it's like when you watch people, look at what they're doing every day. Look at what they're thinking about, because people's thoughts are so loud, they can't even hold on to them silently. They walk into their thoughts. They move like their thoughts. They blink. They see certain things with their thoughts. And it's like, when I'm saying blinking, when they're thinking about something, when they're like blinking, when they're looking for what they had to go into, that's how they're able to tell you what they're thinking about. But you have to be able to hear that sound. And to hear, you have to go through that veil of what they're suffering in. Suffering makes the most noise when you're able to hear where it came from. And that becomes silent. So when you're able to look at them and they notice you looking at them, are you now onto what they're thinking about? And when you get that thought pattern and you can alchemize it and wash it off for what it was hiding behind, are you reading their thoughts without them telling you? And then when you tell them about that, do you know who they are and what they're being and what they're hiding behind closed doors? Why is it that a lot of them have to be trans? That's a trans groomer agenda. They are grooming people to be conditioned into sacrificing themselves. They not only want you to have your genetics turned inside out, but they want you to lose your ego in the process, because they want your energy too. They don't care what your sexual orientation is. They don't care what your gender is. They want you. They want your solar awareness so that they can become more aware than you. That's all it is. It's about competition for the higher class. And because they put us into a lower class beneath their nature, who's really in charge of controlling this nature that's shooting itself? I mean, this was a 1999 mass shooting that sparked it all. But that's a psychological operation, because it was the experiment to see what would happen if we placed these actors into school systems to where now they control the room. They're harvesting the energies of kids and teenagers and adults to where when you take their life and the media finds out, people are now fearful of these people or these beings because they want to be famous. When you want to be famous, people don't know what it takes to even have that image. For one, you have to have a certain marketable look. They don't want to market you if they know that you're no use of what they're looking for. You not only have to be divinely tapped in within your intuition, but you also have to be able to go against your relationship with God or the Almighty. When you do that, you now walk the path of Lucifer, which is still the inversion of Almighty God's mind. When you think like that mind and you're growing into that symbolism or that lesson of that way of living, you now lose your way of living spiritually. And you do things for the lower nature because you want your nature to be known and idolized. Let's go into the video.
In total, we have 5 victims shot,
including a cop who died a hero.
What drove this former high school football player cross country to kill?
From CBS News headquarters in New York, this
Showing
is
you.
the CBS.
Don't forget that all-seeing eye right there, letting you know. Cap and more bullshit in the evening news.
Evening News.
Good evening, I'm Maurice Dubois.
I'm John Dickerson.
4 people went to work as usual in a New York City office building. They had every right to expect they would return home safely as usual, but this time they did not.
A police officer and a security guard, an investment firm executive,
And then
and a real estate.
Somebody be like, well, how can they be crisis actors? How can these people agree to doing this stuff? Why not? That's not for us to question, because remember, and the thing is too, these are all basically, I had to admit it, these are basically hypothetical assumptions that can make sense later on. But this is exactly why these people don't make it make sense, because they don't want you to figure out what's been done, what's been happening. There's a dark, secret organizations, I should say, that put crisis actors into the forefront because these beings also have a contract that they owe. They owe something in life, which is basically themselves, because they wanted to be sold into being marketable. And when these people are claimed to be dead, these are one or two things now. People don't know that, for one, the being can take off the costume and still live freely. Two, the being, if it's portrayed to be dead, can seem as if they are dead, but can get away with the phrase or the initiation of dying to where now they climb higher Masonic systems. When you're climbing a higher system, you now get paid more opportunities, more business deals, more agreements, more freedom. You're able to now live a different life that most people can dream of. And because it's been handled to you, you played your part. There's no use of you anymore. And the thing is too, you're good to go. So because of that, because they give up their genetics and their way of living, their children, they can now tell the world, I faked death and I'm walking around like a god. Because people will now see me as a hero. Not knowing that when these people take off the costume, everybody clap it up. You played a great job. Hey, did they believe it? Look at them. Look at our ratings. Look at our analytics. Look at the statistics behind the people that care about this stuff. Of course they believe it. You did a great job. They actually believe that you're gone. Damn, so what about my family? We'll give you a new one. You know how this goes. Once you get to the police force and the higher ups and all that, you're playing a dark game at this point. And once you go into the military, that's when things really get wicked on this simulated surface of ignorance. Okay.
Employee were shot to death last evening, leaving their families and the rest of America to ask why.
A question we will try to answer. The gunman had driven across.
Keyword, try to answer. That's the problem. And a lot of times, so we got to understand skin shifters. These beings are not wearing their real costumes, but they look as if they're real people in costumes. That's to catch upon false light bearing. Because for one, when you're producing cap and bullshit upon all four corridors, you now boxing the imagination to your liking. So you're going to cast judgment with what you want to create. When you have this recipe that you want to poison, or it's like you're putting period blood in spaghetti. These people put period blood in spaghetti, or even baby blood in spaghetti. They mix it up and then they put it on a plate, and they're basically giving it to everybody else. And the thing is, so they say it's free. It's free food. You hungry? Oh yeah, for sure. People will eat it and be like, what's that kind of sauce? Ragu. Oh, you got it from the store? For sure. Wasn't expensive, nothing too much. You enjoy? You're eating it, not knowing that what you're eating is what your mind creates, because you have weakened your state of awareness for being aware beyond the ethereal observation of life. Because what's behind the wall of life? Nothing. And nothing is what you're observing. When you're being that observation, what do you see in the subconscious mind? Bullshit. In the evening, in the AM, in the nighttime, doesn't fucking matter. They will always cast out bullshit because somebody's watching their imagination. That's why they're showing you what you can't even see.
Country from Las Vegas carrying a rifle and, according to a copy of a suicide note
and then,
obtained by CBS
if you just
News.
look at the, what was it called? What is this called? So I gotta find the name again. I know I put it down, so I know I was gonna forget. Yeah, the hormone replacement therapy. So constantly taking estrogen and testosterone, you can just tell it's a woman crying out for help. And it's like no beard, mustache, growing in or whatever. Look at the hair and all that, but look at the eyes. The eyes never lie. Not only just that, we were able to see the clavicle. We were able just to hear the voice and all that, because you can expand or shrink your vocal cords to make yourself sound manly or feminine. But you can just observe the being and just tell that she was only casting what was hurting her on the inside. And she wanted to go to people that she could trust, and they let her down through a sport that she felt free in. So when she got her get back for revolting or going through a revolution of what she wanted to go up against, and now costed her her life because she just basically had to play her role. And she knew that she was too deep to where she was blaming it on CTE, which could have been the case. We never know, because remember, after you watch a movie, sometimes people will Google what the actor is doing in life and what other shows are they playing in, how they started acting and what got them into acting. You start wanting to discover more about the being. That's exactly why they'll try to explain it to you, But if they do, you now become more awakened. So why would the news medias, why would these satanic organizations tell you about what they're doing to you for you to awaken and then place a mass awakening or even make videos on what they're doing? They don't want anybody to awaken into what has been happening. They've been playing with their energy for so long, we have fell in love with it. And then if we stop falling in love with it and we question that love that we have for the spellcaster, what do we awaken into? And once that happens, what does humanity do collectively? 1 or 2 people won't get it done. 15, 100, they won't get it done. But collectively, what happens if we understand what's really going on with our children that are getting trafficked for this reason? There are many children getting trafficked, getting genetically altered to where now they have to off themselves because people don't understand what they have been going through within this.
A grudge against the National Football League.
NFL headquarters are in.
A grudge in the National Football League. So she had a grudge against never-fearing Luciferians to where she went and decided to off herself but take somebody else with her. And yet she still couldn't get close to the people that she wanted to reach. So close. She may have went off a script. Who knows? But remember, this is a woman who's trying to show there's 2 sides to a coin. Either she was just playing her part and she meant to off herself, because remember too, in her gematria script, for one, it's not only just a true woman show. Where is it? Will we ascend today? No, it's on the other one, right? She not only wants respect. What am I looking for? Come on, baby. Where are you at? No. Okay, it's in this one. Noble Return, Dangerous Mirror. Chosen Program. I think that might have been one. Where's the other one at, though? Meets a higher power. Okay. So, now the thing is, when this being went into the office, so the 2 sides of the coin, chosen programming. So, if her programming casted her to walk into the show of what she thought intelligence was, she was meeting the beings that wanted her vehicle of interest, which is basically the vessel. So when she meets the higher powers, what does she see and what does she ascend into to where she offed herself? Because this is basically a woman having the balls to do what society didn't want to do. But it depends, because where is that name? There was something I seen. Because maybe I'm tripping. There was a word. And I don't think I can find it. Which is okay. It's all good. I'm not going to force it. But Jewish blood sacrifice. We add this one vehicle of interest. Access to stargates because I don't exist. Trans-resurrection. That's all good. But, so yeah, with her script, she basically placed herself into that vibration. And she's just basically going through the grooming process of what, that's what it was. Should kill himself. Thank you. Because I was like, what the fuck? So when she did that, because remember, they did say that she offed herself. So if that's the case, was she just playing in what the spirit was projecting the whole entire time? Because the root of all evil is the thoughts that we don't tell out loud. So we go into secret societies to get those thoughts to express themselves out loud, because numbers are words. Now, these numbers are telling a word who's screening the wordplay. And then how are we playing with these words? Because remember, profound ignorance. And the thing is, too, I'm just going all over the place right now. I don't even want to put this in order. Just stay in tune to stay with me. Because remember, the beginning of this video is love is the answer. We have to be able to love the beings that are working together with higher beings, because they're hidden birth patterns. Profound ignorance is a deep lack or want to be in awareness or understanding, and it doesn't just mean the things we think are a fact or of truth itself. This is when someone doesn't know that they are blind to the veiled mirroring observations, and they will go their whole life thinking illusions or limited beliefs are the absolute truth, and you can't prove them otherwise. Beautiful ignorance, basically. If you think that this is a man that went out and killed a bunch of crisis actors, you choose to be ignorant in that instance because you don't want to be aware of what you cannot see, a veil. And the thing is too, when you see the mirroring of observations or the halls of immensity, you'll be able to look at different screenings that you are living in physically, subconsciously, but the being behind the screen, you can now, because you have no form, you're transparent. So you're looking through different screens in every dimension and you're weaving the intersections of the paths that you walk on in infinite realms. So as you're looking, you're seeing which realm, which dream is the one for you to be aware in. And once you watch that, that's the one that has the most focus because that's the one that's going to help you see what's happening in all illusions that give us belief systems to fall in love with. That can be proved otherwise, but some people feel as if you can't prove them otherwise because what they think is what they know.
In that Midtown Manhattan office building.
But as you can see, and I ain't gonna lie, it's a lot of guys out here who lack testosterone. And somebody gonna say, bro, a lot of us are just born with that, bro. It's just not every man's a woman, bro. You gotta stop doing that. Somebody tried to do that to me with Kyrie. I'm not gonna lie, gender is a contradiction. And if you think, for one, contradict everything, question everything. If you think that these people are men, you have fooled yourself and you have been conditioned to believe that these are a bunch of men playing as men. Whole entire time, these women don't know how to be a man. Just because you wear a suit and a tie does not mean that you're masculine. You're portraying an image or an identity for people to follow or fall in love with for you to get paid. But yet and still behind closed doors, you know what you did to be in front of the stage telling more lies. That means trans groomer agendas. That's all the news is. When you watch the news, even with the women who get on there with dresses on and they got their ass showing, they're showing you transgender grooming agendas. They want you to be so infatuated with these satanic overloads to where you won't understand where this information came from. It came from the real streaming of consciousness. So these are women that lack so much testosterone that they can't grow facial hair or even a mustache.
Which is where Lilia Luciano begins our coverage. So, Lilia, 24 hours since this news broke, where is the
And this is a man.
investigation?
Well, right now, the crime scene was just boarded up. We just saw that.
And somebody will be like, okay, how is that a man? Because remember, love is the answer. Never forget that. Because I know somebody will forget that. Transsexualism is when someone's gender identity doesn't match the sex they were assigned to playing in. When they were born to kill that script and be controlling the opposite one by hiding both confusions, and they choose or get sacrificially groomed into transition, whether that be socially, medically, or both. And when they get put through this project, they now have to live as a gender they identify with because they gave their awareness away to distortion, or they were put through it and fell in love with a dark that false light doesn't learn to see or read. It often involves hormone therapy or surgeries, and the core reasoning for this experiment is to be the observation of one's outer life and watch them confuse themselves with their inner sense of gender. So now the thing is to voice surgery. Yes, you're gonna learn a lot from this shit. Because this is how they do it. If they're on the TV, they're groomed. They're either trafficked into it or they were born into it. Or they sacrificed themselves into it. Voice surgery, adjusting the pitch and tone of the being's vocal cords. So when you hear her talking,
Happened minutes ago. And in terms of the NYPD, they're expanding their investigation.
So it's kind of even hard for me to do that. But the thing is, so you have to constantly train yourself to talk like that. So that's why a lot of men who play like they're gay, they train their vocal cords to sound feminine. So basically behind closed doors, they're constantly talking as if they're a woman. But realistically, it's a woman that's playing in the man's costume. But she wants to go her feminine route, but she sees herself as a man. So she can't do anything about it till she becomes more aware of secret societies that can help her get her to where she wants. But that comes with a cost of sacrificing your morals to what deity that people call Satan.
Sending detectives to Nevada with a search warrant for the gunman's home and questions for those who knew him and had any information about what he might have been planning and his weapons. A surveillance camera captured the moment the gunman approached the building carrying a semi-automatic rifle. It was just as many workers were leaving to go home.
You are responding to an active shooter incident.
The first victim was shot in the lobby. Didarul Islam was a cop moonlighting as a security guard. He was an immigrant from Bangladesh and a father of two, with a third child on the way. CBS New York spoke to Islam's nephew.
The youngest son doesn't really understand, and his eldest son is in shock, walking around with his dad's police book.
The 44th-floor tower is the headquarters for the National Football...
And that's exactly what they want. They want your family to feel some kind of way about your sacrifice. Your sacrifice was needed, thank you. They need energy because too many people are waking up. The more energy they consume, the more they're able to emit negative vibrations upon society. Because remember, humanity is the caster of energy. These beings cannot create anything. They can only steal the things that we form through our mind. They're watching our mind. So what are they using? They're watching our mind, meaning that our mind is their tool. Remember, you didn't say, I want a mind of my own. No, you just had one form. Who do you think gave you that form? And if they run this system, what makes you think they won't use that form against you? If you think you're not against yourself, you were born to be against yourself because remember, your brain lies to you. Your brain isn't even pink. Your brain isn't even called a brain. For one, your brain isn't even what it thinks it is. It can't even be what it wants to be. You make it that identity by what you see and what you're trained to thinking is reality.
League, multiple major finance firms, and the real estate firm Rudin Management. Jessica Tisch is New York City's police commissioner.
Basically, a man in a wig. A man in a wig. Woman, 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 woman. A lot of them is wearing different costumes, playing their part, acting as if they're oblivious to this whole act.
It's a woman who took cover behind a pillar and proceeds through the lobby, spraying it with gunfire. The gunman shot a second security guard before taking an elevator to the 33rd floor, where Rudin is headquartered. One person was struck and killed on that floor.
Oh yeah, and let me go and make a correction as well. Even if these people did die, because death cannot die, if these people did die, the people who created this dilemma do not give a fuck about their sacrifice that was made. They prefer us to be dead anyways. So if they're faking their death, that's the biggest lie ever and a harmful way to lie to humanity. But if they are gone from simulation, that's exactly what they want to stay thriving. They want us to lead a simulation because they want themselves to be at the upper echelon of being the overseers for our existence.
He then proceeds down a hall.
And remember, the enemy is basically the veil of your shadows that you planted.
Way and shoots himself in the chest. These are images of
shoots himself in the chest
by CBS News of the suicide note found in the gunman's wallet.
Okay, the suicide note. Okay, CTE, study my brain, please. I'm sorry. Tell Rick I'm sorry to everything. Computer password. So doctors, thank you. Excuse me. The league knowingly can't concealed to Dodgers. What? Concealed the Dodgers to our brains to maximize profits. They failed us. Terry Long football gave me CTE and it caused me to drink a gallon of antifreeze. You can't go against the NFL. They'll crush you. You can't go against Luciferians. They'll crush you. So is that, you see what I'm saying? So everything in this video should be making sense when it ends. Because all this being is saying, watch my show. Jewish blood sacrifice, chosen programming, meets a higher power. NF stands for no fear. Never fear Luciferians. But then where were you going to meet? Meeting her higher orders. Where is that too? That's how I know I didn't study this, because I just went off the dome. Meets a higher power. So when she's doing that, now people are watching her movie, True Woman Show. And the thing is too, Lucifer saved her life. So did she really die, or is she resurrected?
He wrote CTE, chronic traumatic encephalopathy. That is a brain disease linked to repetitive head injuries suffered in sports. The note also said, football gave me CTE, and referenced the NFL saying, the league knowingly concealed the dangers. The gunman had driven 3 days from his home in Las Vegas. He had a history of mental illness going back to at least 2022. The same year, he obtained his concealed firearm permit. Sometime after receiving his permit, he called police saying he was suicidal. But according to Nevada law enforcement, suicidal ideations are not a reason to confiscate a permit. And listen to this. Nevada police have said that they received a tip about a large amount of ammunition that he had bought at a gun show, that they followed that tip, but because he had that permit, there's nothing they could do, that it was all legal.
And Lilia, we're learning more now about the innocent people who got shot just going about the business of their day.
That's right, Maurice. It is heartbreaking. Of course, you heard about Officer Islam, who was a beloved father, soon to be, of 3 children. You heard also about Alanda Tien. He was the officer who was working in this building since 2019, was remembered by people who worked in the building as a beloved presence, as a dedicated father. We are also learning about Wesley LePatner. She was that executive at Blackstone. In an industry that is dominated by men, she led the women's initiative in that company. She was also a mother of 2 who graduated summa cum laude from her university, Yale. And the last victim, the youngest one, was Julia Hyman, who also graduated summa cum laude from Cornell University in 2020.
So sad and so frustrating. Lilia Luciano, thank you.
The gunman, notably, shot himself in the chest, not the head. He said in his suicide note he wanted his...
Luciano, thank you.
Wait.
The gunman, notably, shot himself in the chest, not the head. He said in his suicide note he wanted his brain to be studied.
Dr. John LaPook has been following the link between head injuries and CTE for more than a decade now, John.
It's important to say we do not know whether or not the shooter had CTE or any other brain disorder, but Shane Tamura suspected he had CTE, and the 27-year-old asked in a note that his brain be studied for the disease. Chronic traumatic encephalopathy is a degenerative brain disease linked to repeated head injuries that can occur in contact sports such as football or soccer. Symptoms may include mood swings, suicidal thoughts, and problems with impulse control. Several professional athletes, such as football players Junior Seau, who died by suicide, and Aaron Hernandez, who killed 2 men and then himself, were later found to have CTE.
Our coach kept saying, don't hold your heads down, don't hold your heads down.
This video shows Tamura playing football in high school. His note listed several CTE experts, including Boston University's Dr. Ann McKee. We spoke with her in 2022 about the risks of CTE from youth sports.
The professionals have longer years of exposure, but kids who play high school sports, they're at risk for these changes.
Dr. McKee led a 2023 study that found CTE in 14 of 45 football players with suspected brain injury who did not play beyond high school and who died before the age of 30. Dr. McKee told us...
They're showing you this sport is barbaric, and why are you letting your children play it? That's the thing right there. And a lot of times people think that Lucifer saved their life, and this is the sad part with sports. Sports is Luciferianism. And the thing is, it's unfortunate to say that, but it is what it is. Sorry. I mean, I don't apologize for telling you what the truth is. It's Luciferianism because, for one, you're giving your life up for a ball. Not only just a ball, what kind of ball, what deity. You're giving it up for a deity that's entertained by your acts, your practices, and your game in general. So it can be football, basketball, baseball, all ball, B-A-A-L. It can be B-A-L-L, doesn't fucking matter. But that's the play on words, etymology. So because they're showing you what the show is. They want to show you what intelligence is, because we go all out for these sports. And what do these sports do for us? They do nothing but put our bodies in more aches and pains when we get older, to where we suffer now. Our muscles get tight and our back gets tight and your mind gets fucked up to where you end up being dead. It casts you to think a certain way now, to where all you can do is what the program wants you to start doing now, and it's going to control your algorithm to where you're manipulated by yourself, because you're programmed to do that, because the sport puts you in that position. So when you're constantly put in that position to have your life saved by a sport, the sport can't do anything for you but keep you enslaved to what it wants to play with, which is basically your energy. This energy cannot free you till you free yourself. So running to a sport will not cause you to think that where you're going in life is just destined to be because you're a great athlete in basketball, football, soccer, baseball, doesn't matter. Whenever you're going into these realms, these people do not care about you. All they care about is, how can you entertain the masses? How can you bring more money in? How can you bring more currency in? Not only just that, if we have maneuvered and manufactured your family, yourself as well, genetically, and you're an anomaly, you're one out of a billion, and we can use you and market you to get more asses in the seats, then we'll do that by any means, and you will go with the script. Is that understood? Because if you don't, we're going to sacrifice you or your family members, or just we'll freeze your genetics and your blood, and then we'll get a sample, put that into a carbon copy or a scanning screen process, and then once they emulate that screening process, it'll become physical, to where now you're going to be manufactured from a computer, to where this computer program will make you seem physical, and then they'll put a costume over this being that is a hive mind intelligence, and then this hive mind intelligence will get ran the same as that database, Robot Chicken, so the cloned being will now MK Ultra, like, what the fuck is going on? Then next thing you know, they'll go out in public, and good as new. There'll be a child, a teenager, an adult, and you won't know where this being came from, but yet they'll say, I watched them their whole entire life. Yet all you did was just watch a past memory that became famous by sacrificing themselves for a game that never loved them. Let's go into the Twitter. I bookmarked these different things that's going to just make sense for the gematria. 6 dead in New York shooting. 6 people are dead, including a police officer, when a gunman unleashed a barrage of gunfire at a Midtown Manhattan office building that is home to the Blackstone investment firm and the headquarters for the Never Fear Luciferians, according to police. The shooter was neutralized as more information is being learned about him. Employees working on the 33rd floor of the Blackstone building barricaded themselves inside their offices as a gunman opened fire inside. And that's what it looked like on the inside. And then that's her. I look at this gun too, some Call of Duty shit, but her being laid out with the play, and then once Netflix cuts off the movie, then people start clapping. Study my brain, please, I'm sorry. You're conscious enough to write this, but you're not conscious enough to stop what you're doing. Today's cover, New York City mass shooter Shane Tamura found with a note blaming NFL for giving him CTE, even though he never played pro football. So who's his doppelganger? What memory did he go into to where the memory told him that he was in the NFL? It's like you probably had a lucid dreaming experience to where your mind became so ill that you blamed the NFL for what you didn't make. Mentally ill shooter blamed football as his 4 tragic victims are revealed. Like, these sports are so dangerous. That's why you are more than an athlete, bro. Like, no pun intended to the other transgender who thinks they made it up, but you are way more than what the sport is. The sport just defines how great you are or how skilled you are in the act of sorcery. But once you become aware of that sorcery and you start feeding into it, you're way more important than that ball being thrown across the field or getting hit across the water or the ball going into the net. Okay, thanks CTE documentary named top neuroscientists and blame the league for concealing brain damage to maximize profits. They do that, and they'll continue to do that because some people don't care about having brain damage. They want the money. They want to get out the hood. So they're not thinking for the long-term decision on what it's going to affect them into thinking like or even operating as. If the mind is not conditioned to be aware of what it's supposed to be doing, it's not going to want to work with you. It wants to go against you, honestly. When I seen this, he was saying it was illegal in New York for the shooter to walk around the street with an AR-15. But with the gun laws, I mean, this being most likely was given a permit, or the people who gave him the AR, or they all work together. Don't forget, it's not illegal if you work with the opposition. Working together. It's not illegal when you're working for the same exact operation that wants you to kill yourself. Because they're already dead anyway, so they want you to join them. That's the reason why they want us to off ourselves too.
Scene showing you here, John's reporting that they do know what he looks like. Male, possibly white, mustache, sunglasses.
Male, possibly white. And my thing is too, when she said that, I was thinking to myself, what do you mean by that? Man, what do you mean possibly white? So that's why you need to protect your DNA. I feel like in the movie Get Out, one of my favorite movies, I feel as if it's not only a blood sacrifice, but through a genetic abomination, because she doesn't exist, trans-resurrection, demon infestation, I think, just hypothetically speaking, these beings, because our body is a Stargate, if these beings seduced her, put her into a show, because what is intelligence, right? Inevitable return, meaning that the being who was supposed to return into her body most likely was portrayed to look like a pale costume, but the pale costume maybe wanted to be in character, to wear the character's costume, to make it seem as if it's not just Caucasians that just shoot up schools or establishments, it's also carbon deities. Because then somebody in the comment section will probably say, it's always the fucking you-know-who's, it's always this and that. So was her consciousness transferred from another skin shifter? We'll never know. But if you're blaming it on CTE and you never played in the NFL, why are you just now doing this? Because you graduated high school a long time ago, but then something must have clicked. Some truth must have happened to where you wanted to walk up to the beings that caused you to think like this. So Lucifer saved your life to where now you wanted to get rid of them. What did that do for you?
That building isolated to, they believe, to various locations, including upper floors, is where they're focused. What are you learning, Shimon? Scene showing you here, John's reporting that they do know what he looks like. Male, possibly white, mustache, sunglasses.
No, I'm not trying to full screen it, sweetie. I'm not trying to. Oh. Okay, thank you. They do know what he looks like. Male, possibly white, mustache, sunglasses. Always manifesting their Kabbalistic nonsense. So when we look at this right here, the star of the subconscious mind, so interlocking the triangle, divine masculine, divine feminine, when you put that together, you can now invert it, so you square the circle. So once you do that, you can say Seal of Solomon or a hexagram or symbolism. And with that symbolism, because remember, interlocked triangle, so masculine, feminine, it can be feminine, masculine, doesn't fucking matter. But what matters is the consciousness inside. So now once you just knock off the sides or whatever, or knock off the base. So because remember, if you see this right here, there's no foundation to stand on anymore. So we got the triangle, it's upside down, but that's knocked off. That's knocked off. So when you got this, you got that. Now when you put the ego of God subconsciously and this imagination, you now flip this interpretation and then you make it etheric, but not celestial. Because now the celestial being dumbs down themselves through the numerical system of numbers and then degrees. 6 plus 6 plus 6 equals 180 degrees. Upside down on 666, simply remove the zeros. That means upside down, so consciousness. This seals as symbol if worship and under the right conditions, circumstances, sins, Sexual, drug, alcohol abuse as examples can become a portal to demonic possession by the Kundalini, Leviathan, or Ouroboros demon. And this basically means you do the opposite of what your nature wants you to do. Meaning, your authentic nature will not want you to go out and commit sexual crimes or even cause harm to people. But somebody who's possessed will say otherwise. So, a black man from Las Vegas who was raised in Los Angeles, he offed himself after going on a rampage at a building that housed the NFL headquarters. No one knows why he did it. That's the point. Thank God a New York City shooter apparently took the wrong bank of elevators and didn't make it to the NFL floors. He reportedly, bizarrely, blamed the NFL for what he believed to be his CTE suffered from playing high school football. So now reread this. Watch the ignorance. Because remember, every time people keep feeding into it, they're enhancing it. Tells your account was hacked. This post cannot be real. My God. How could he post something like this? Don't you realize that a young woman with her whole promising life in front of her was lost because the killer took the wrong elevator? Her life mattered as much, if not more, than any employee of the NFL. This is worst tweet of the year. Thank God he killed someone else is basically what you are saying. Bro said, thank God other people died. Are you insane? He said the quiet part out loud. So how is this the NFL's fault if he didn't make it to the league? I mean, is he wrong? The NFL has a history of railroading concussion studies. Come on, man. He was in New York. It's Trump's fault. I'm hoping this is satire. Thank God the shooter didn't kill me, but it took the lives of others. Skip, how are your takes always so garbage? Like, these people don't take this shit serious. Because that's what happens when you are disassociated with society. Money has blinded these people with logic. So where it is being admitted, thank God I'm still living, to where I can see other people dying for no apparent reason. He's saying, thank Lucifer that this being, and she's a part of it too. Thank Lucifer this being took the wrong bank of elevators and didn't make it to the NFL floors. But somebody still got their life taken away, supposedly. Like, it's crazy. But people pick and choose what they want to be mad at, and we don't want to feed into Skip Bayless and all that, because that's just more Freemasonic distractions that don't matter in sports. And these are just the things that I took note of for a gematria that makes sense later on. Race segregationists are people and groups that choose to believe different races should be separated in schools, housing, public spaces, and society altogether. Since the 1870s, around the Reconstruction era, and really early on, false light bearers and pale costumes pushed for laws and systems that kept races apart. And this was and is how they wanted to maintain a false sense of power, because they felt less than when they arrived and saw how we experienced our cage. These pale politicians, lawmakers, and enhanced institutions in the U.S., mind control, and local state systems put these laws in place so that they can maintain European control through false dominance over the carbon community. This happened because they kept passing bills through state legislators while writing local ordinances, as they kept using court systems to make segregation legal. Plessy versus Ferguson. They also kept working with banks, schools, and housing authorities to make these systems that we build to enforce those laws on everyday citizens. Jim Crow laws, separate but equal, redlining, anti-miscegenation laws, poll taxes, and literacy tests. And yeah, so those are laws that they came up with. And the thing is too, it's still in race segregationists, meaning that a lot of people still want to be segregated from society. And are people wrong for that? Yes and no. But because of that, we had to be within ourselves, and people don't want that duality. People want to stay within their own communities, and that's why I think that town in Arkansas, they have their own only 6 ethereal beings in their community. That's great for them. There's a lot of them like that, so you can't make this stuff up. There are some people in America or around the world who only want to be around Caucasians or Asians or Hispanics or Africans, Jamaicans, doesn't matter. Those people they're free to do whatever that they want, and they can feel however they want as well. Let them do them. We should not worry about the hatred that people have for skin color. Jim Crow laws, rules that force carbon beings and 6 etheric beings to use separate everythings. Bathrooms, schools, buses, restaurants, movies, pools, Separate but equal. A legal excuse to say it's fine to keep black and white beings apart as long as schools, bathrooms, parks were the same quality. But it was never equal for us, and it's still painted to be unless you sell your morals to these companies. The equal part was a lie to justify segregation. So even with school systems, if we were in our own schools through this law right here, they would undermine the quality of the lights, the floors, the ceiling, the teachings, the textbooks, the folders, the desks, the food. It was on purpose. So they made it seem as if it was equal, but it never was. So they were just justifying being or practicing racism. Redlining. Banks and insurers would deny and sometimes still do deny services to people who are mostly carbon residents so the community can be divided. It has been illegal since the Fair Housing Act of 1968 and the Community Reinvestment Act of 1977, and the U.S. made it against the law to deny loans, mortgages, or insurance based on the color or the environment of the neighborhood. If people get caught doing this, then lawsuits, heavy fines, and loss of a banking license comes into play. Anti-miscegenation laws. Laws that didn't want people of different colors to marry or date. But now look at what society's doing. I mean, is it illegal to go against, your nature or your ethnic group? Yes and no. Because if you are a carbonated deity and you go sleep with a white woman or you marry her, don't be surprised with what happens in the court system or Supreme Court, because the favor will be on her people and her lawyers, because they're going to go with the person that they deem as fit for society. We are beneath their ideology. That's exactly why they painted society to be in black and white, divided, because they want themselves to be superior amongst our superiority complex. Poll taxes and literacy tests. Deceptive tactics to stop carbon people from voting by making it too expensive or harder for them to qualify into voting. Literacy tests are paying a fee. So they would have you put through tests to where you would have to answer a question or even talk about the legislative branches or just the communist tactics that they got going on, or even paying a certain fee. And if you don't have it, you can't vote. Like, your vote fucking matters. So that makes it even worse. Okay, so we read these two already. Excuse me. Damn, but for this therapy right here, this is to manipulate the body's chemical structure. So that's how you're able to see the woman playing as a man. Another one, top surgery, removing or redefining breast tissue to make the chest look more masculine or feminine, or it'll be put through augmentation. Augmentation is the attempt to amplify and reshape a vessel to match an identity that you see as normal. Bottom surgery, aka genital reconstruction. This is when zeta reticuli shift their vril into a trustworthy surgeon or doctor, and they create or alter sexual organs to go with the acknowledged identity of the gender they think belongs to them. So a lot of these people do get their genitals restructured, and don't paint that picture, but these people go through these certain things. So if you look at a lot of these celebrities on stage or just in society and you ask, well, if these people are transgender, don't even ask. Because you can create or you can alter a sexual organ and you can put that on the person. So a lot of times if the woman wants to have pause, she can do that. She can elongate that muscle or that tissue, and next thing you know, the people will lust after her. It's sick. Facial feminization and facial masculinization. Also, on top of that too, the top surgery. There are a lot of people who will redefine their chest to make their boobs look bigger the whole entire time. It's just plastic surgery or breast implants. The bones are altered as well as the soft tissue structure, and the beings get to sculpt the mask that matches what the spirit wants to see itself being in this life, or get put through remembering itself, dreaming of being, and acting through the hurt. So it's also another way as well on a lot of times. So I think you got to break certain bones too, because you got to do the part with the nose and the jaw, so you got to break that and then restructure it. So all that pain for what? That's sick. Voice surgery, adjusting the pitch and tone of the being's vocal cords. The throat gateway will retune itself into matching the identity that the world gets to adore and feel sorry for. The process of voice surgery will minimize or tighten the vocal cord for a high-pitched or relaxed, low-pitched voice. It's a trained, precise work of the tissue that changes how sound will vibrate through the larynx. Your voice box is a structure in your throat made out of muscle and vocal cords that help control breathing and produce sound by vibrating vocal cords as air is passing through, and that is why the cartilage protects the airway. The actors a part of the club that have been allowed to do this are the endocrinologists, which are doctors that manage hormone therapy, surgeons that specialize in gender affirmations, and ENT surgeons, which will handle the voice, ears, and throat into the voice box, plastic surgeons for the facial and chest process, and therapists and psychologists because some states require an evaluation before going into the transition of a medical procedure. That's exactly when I put all these down because I want you to know that the war is even with your own doctor. It's in the medical industry as well. So it doesn't matter what you do for yourself. You have to be able to protect your DNA. That's really why I put that in the script. Protect your DNA because they want it. They want to alter it. The magic of the looking glass is how stage events become the mirrors for collective perceptions to fear in their own chaos. In our scripted society, Freemasonic rituals and Psyop shootings aren't focused on the event itself because they want to continue shaping reality through mass focus and emotion that people lose control over. The looking glass part is energetic manipulation because constantly people project fear, anger, and division onto what they want to see. And every time they do this, they are feeding the script. They control the news through action because humanity reflects what they kill every day. And this is how higher leeches get society to unconsciously agree to a narrative that doesn't exist because they constantly react to it. This is how higher leeches get society to unconsciously agree to a narrative that doesn't exist because they constantly react to it. This shooting and every shooting is alchemical ritualized energy harvesting that is painted as news, so the four corners of the world can use the public's own consciousness as the stage and power source to fuel more contradictions that test society to see where they are mentally. Vril is a label that forever carries raw energy that is shaped by the intent we put form and action into desiring. As Luciferians charge it by seeking fear through stage events, humanity will absorb and consume the vibration before they even question the thought. The emotion they want to experience becomes the addiction of truth, and the lie can now hide inside the feeling that everyone thinks is supposed to be real. And an outer-body experience is seen as infinite streams of living life force energy, and it is powerful but overall intelligent because it currently is the one shaping our reality. Never forget that. This is a vril, so a vril is a vibration that carries raw energy forever, that's shaped by the intent of the human being's reaction timing and emotions. So now in the astral realms, vril move with a purpose as it thinks it is light or a current that will influence thoughts, emotions, and even forms that we give light to, like parasitic worms and tapeworms and all that. It activates itself through responding instantly to the intention of the name calling of the caster, committing the spell through intention. It moves like blood in unseen dimensions that mirror the vehicle we sleep in. So that's how they sleep in our bloodstream, because we consume it by what we put emotion or thoughts into. And we influence a thought by constantly thinking about it or constantly putting an emotion into it. In the quantum realms, real energy knows how to control itself into being a conscious frequency that ties thought and matter into the hologram that we see false light code languages in. It's a medium that projects energy patterns into the physical reality you choose to learn about by not giving all your energy and blood to the beast, running the connection that can open your mind into inversion. The demiurge, or the mind, the hive mind of this world, is inverted for a reason, because it needs your energy and blood. That's how it stays connected with you. It's a neutral force, and it'll be divine when it's aligned with any transcendent saving from the caged mind, and it can be destructive when it is chosen to be love distorted through lower intent that nature has to contradict. Lilith represents wild, chaotic, submissive, shadow feminine, rebellious energy. When she plays into the script of elite gender inversion or transgender scripted stories and fake shootings, she now becomes a scapegoat the moment she comes out the birth canal that killed her memory. And now she'll be used to stir fear and confusion and any other lower feeling that people complain about but still sleep next to. This stage shooting creates strong emotions that shadow societies can feast on like the Last Supper. And this is done because these species want to keep people distracted from the controlled awareness happening behind the scenes. And the thing is too, we are the controlled awareness putting these stage events into place. We put them into the TV screen, we put them into the phones, we put them into the news stations, we put them into the stationing of our mind because we control the mind of mind controllers. When humanity wakes up and decides to stop being scared of what they created, the illusions will bow down to what we have always known ourselves to be. And what are we being when we have no name? Now, Let's get into it. Who is Shane Tamura? 195-237-1170-390-195. What really matters is 1, 2, 3, 4. But these do matter because they're just differences, but you can still see the alignment. Demonic infestation. Basically, when you're grooming this agenda, you're going to give birth to more demons that don't know that their foundation was love distorted. So when you lack that love in a dark place in your mind, you now become the root of all evil, because you're not only doing it for money, but you're doing it because you have no reason why. So that's why this demonic infestation is going to always continue, because no matter what in society, you have to always be aware of where the cameras are, always be aware of what's happening next, always be aware of what the next human being is doing, because they can take your life. Multiple languages. So the thing is too, these languages being in the cipher that we are experiencing, we have to be able to contradict that, because remember, numbers are words, and because numbers are words, we can put the English ciphering of this ignorance into play, but we have to be able to contradict what we are playing with through words. Timeless, meaning that how many stage shootings have you heard about or have you seen? These things are controlled because we put the scripts into words, and once we put words in multiple languages, we now are connected to higher realms that manipulate what the thought or the realm of thought never said a word in. No, it is not over, meaning that I'm pretty sure this year as well, there'll be another shooting as well. It never stops any year. Every year, on certain months, there are many people who are going to be castrated into committing a shooting. It's going to be most likely a different ethnic or a different race of being this time. Who knows at this point? But you have to be able to be aware of why they're doing it, because they want to control your energetic frequency within. Satanic overlords, meaning that the people who orchestrate it so that go beyond masonry, these beings do practice Satanism. So because of that, their god is Luciferian and satanic works. So we already covered that right there. Should kill himself. We've been talked about that, because I mean, this right here is self-explanatory. Tears stream down. How many people were crying over what was committed? That's the point. When you see these trail of tears, you now feel bad. You feel wrong. You feel as if, damn, somebody got betrayed by, so-and-so, and that's confusing. So now you just hold on to your family even more by saying, I love y'all, know whatever happened to y'all. That's what they want. They want you to be like that so that they can take over your mind. So we already covered this right here. So transsexualism. So this being was identified at birth, but didn't want to come to terms with that. So her crying out for help was victimized into being CTE. Profound ignorance. So people willingly not believing this stuff or even knowing this stuff or learning this stuff, they choose to be ignorant. Let them be. Real information. So we just covered that. As you can see, what she was in was basically just an astral experience of what she observed. She wanted respect because, as you can see, she wanted to know why her mind was like that. Why did her mind make her think those thoughts? And then she blamed football for it. I think when she blamed the NFL or football, she used that as an excuse for what she continuously was now able to face truth with, to where it caused her to be suicidal. Succubus can shape and magical looking glass. So we already covered that as well. But succubus can shape. And the thing is to shape, I wouldn't say shape shifting, but they can form shape, because we form that shape that we are lusting after. And lust can be any strong desire. When people desire new entertainment, they put a thought to it that seems attractive or appealing to them. Excuse me. And the thing is, to society, people are attracted to dead vibrations or dead consciousness because they feel whole, or that void is, that void is filled up, because they can now sit next to the hypnosis of what they find comfort in. Hidden birth pattern. And because of that hidden birth pattern, we're able to see that her birth pattern was groomed into an agenda that they told themselves on, or they told on themselves with, working together. So we covered that. She was in cahoots with Masonry, brother and sister. So I put that because we got to show love to our brothers and sisters who are just doing their script. And it's unfortunate, and the thing is too, it is very sad, but it's like, you have to be able to just be aware of what you're doing every single day, because we cannot put the focus on people who want to off themselves anyways. People who want to live a simulation, or people who want to get rid of their morals, let them be. Protect your DNA. Secret child location. I honestly think as well, the buildings were harvesting children underneath them. And I think that because there are underground tunnels underneath our feet, and when you understand that, there are also doorways or different paths, different elevators that go down to lower levels that the average human will not walk into. So all those people in the background of the news, these people, let me see, hopefully we can get to that. These people have no idea what goes on in these buildings. They have no idea what goes on. Remember when that Jewish ordinance happened, or that Jewish catastrophe within the New York subways happened and people forgot about it? That's exactly what happens. When these things happen, they want to see how fast people move on to the next trend that's dead already. And the thing is too, these people have no idea what goes on underneath their feet or even inside of there besides the police or the military. That's exactly why they move in first and they cover it last. Inevitable return, meaning that if she is not dead and the people are not dead, they'll be resurrected into the costume that they were playing in. And the thing is too, energy can't die. It'll only just transmute. It'll only transmute into a different costume that people are not aware of. What is intelligence? We have no idea. People think as if what they see is intelligent, and that's ignorance. If you think that anything that you just seen for this video, anything that you have learned or that you told yourself was intelligent or just wise or it was just different, that is ignorance. Wanting to think as if what you learned today was intelligent. True woman show. So Jim Carrey is a woman playing as a man, letting you know when her genetics were altered, and then her whole entire life, she was watched. She was watched, and then when she was able to understand that, she left the stage and became awake, to where now that awakening was defined as being psychotic or just being out there and just being over the top. That's her personality for Jim Carrey. True woman show. Why not go over the top with my character base as well? They're watching me, so go ahead and screen my movie. I want to be watched. This is my show. Her transgender life. That's a dangerous mirror right there. And the thing is too, it's a dangerous mirror because this is a dangerous mirror because of beings like this. 6 years in jail for Columbine-obsessed trans teen who plotted school shooting. And 6 years in jail, but let it be somebody of color. Can't make this stuff up. Let's go ahead and go back. Pizzagate is the end. And once people are able to learn about Pizzagate, that's the beginning of ending more consciousness that people will get traumatized by. When people understand pedophile symbolism, you realize why they like children. And there's two sides to it. Are children really getting kidnapped, or are children really kidnapping themselves and then moving their energy into a different realm that can bring them back to divinity? But this divinity is also inverted. So are these beings going through baby farms and factories and islands to where they're getting groomed to be these people who are sacrificing themselves in society? Because where do they go when they're kidnapped? Transgender Lilith, we already went through that. Genetic abominations. When these beings want to have a throwaway experiment, they're going to just get any random person that you don't even care about. But when people are attracted to that character and they have a mugshot, that's when the being will start trending. When the being sees that on their phone, they'll now feel better about themselves, because when they remove the costume of lies, they'll now be able to start breathing better and feeling better, because it's like, damn, I played a character that people thought died, and now it's like when the news is off your back, when people stop focusing on you, now you can live better. You can now see that, damn, this is what it feels like to be in an occultic fraternity or sorority. Now you got to start paying what you owe. You got to start giving yourself away to what you want to get away from. And you can't get away from Luciferians. Chosen programming, meaning that this being was chosen to, offer itself as far as, the show that people were watching. Jewish blood sacrifice, and if you claim to be a Jew, you are the sacrifice every single day, crucifying yourself by even calling yourself a name. You can call yourself African, carbon, black, white, you can say you're Jewish, Arabian, doesn't fucking matter. Every time you do that, you are allowing yourself to be crucified by name-calling lies. I see it clearly now. I put that because there's one person who's watching this that's saying, damn, I see this shit clearly now. It all makes sense. Like, it was a stage shooting. It never happened. Exactly. For this stage shooting to happen, who put it into happening? Who made it happen? The people did. Humanity or society put it into fruition by posting about it, by talking about it, to where now the news had to cover it. And then too, before it got on social media, they were going to cover it regardless, because why? They already knew society was going to think about it ahead of time. So who's ahead of time? God does not exist. If God existed, where is God being right now? Why is God not stepping in? Why is God not helping out? Why is God not talking out loud about what's going on? Oh, wait a minute. You got to put that into existence. So you don't even exist. None of this does exist because we are watching non-existent life forms become light again. We act as one global mind. That's exactly why when somebody does get hurt or people are empathetic, they feel that. That's why me being an empath, I feel different things that can't be talked about, because you can only experience it by being in other people's shoes spiritually, by putting your energy into different rooms. So by us being a one global mind, this one global mind, when a hive mind focuses on a certain topic, they bring that into life. But then when a hive mind goes away from that thought, the thought now dies. So when people lose focus on this being right here, she will come back to life. It's inevitable. Meets a higher power. Who does she meet? I mean, what did it look like? I mean, the beings that have an evil intention, they exist at the highest corridor of a building. So when you corner them or when you get to meet them, what do you get to see? Who do you meet? And if you meet them, do you kill your enlightenment? That's all I think she did. She met her maker to where it was too bright to see. So she needed her mind checked. Vehicle interest. I feel like a being went into her body or her mind because she was already weakened as far as just a trauma that she kept replaying. Because remember, my transgender life. When you're going through that, a cry out for help is not enough. You gotta take somebody's life to be heard, basically. Because people don't know what they're feeling, so they just go through so many different traumatic phases in their life to where they shut down, and then that's it. They hit their breaking point. It's over with. NF stands for no fear. And the thing is too, I put vehicle interest as well, because when you are interested into auctioning off a carbonated body, how does that make another being feel? NF stands for no fear. Never fear Luciferians, the NFL. So even basketball as well. Nephilim, Baphomet, ascensions or associations. So we will be exposing Kyrie as well. And I don't apologize for that video, but whatever happens with that, we'll understand why. Netflix camera screen. So when you see the being on the floor portrayed to be dead or whatever, they're showing you that it's a movie. That's all it is. So wait, where is it? Let's see. Netflix camera screen. Letting you know right there. So it's like when you watch the ending of a movie, it's like the villain or the person who was going through so much ends up being dead. Then it's just like after that, the movie cuts off. And then what do? You either replay the movie or you watch a different one. So you lose focus. Access to Stargate. So we already talked about that, but the body is a Stargate, and for these beings to enter into your body, you have to be able to open your bioelectrical cells by inverting the open-minded perspective on what your DNA is supposed to be restructured in, but your DNA is now going to be inverted by restructuring itself into what the being that possessed you wants it to become now, because I don't exist. So this being already understood that slow down. This being understands that they don't exist. So because of that, if you're putting emotion to that, you're now bringing her into existence. That's the abomination right there. So when you see it clearly, our mind is the reason why we think that she existed or she played football. They're building up a story for you to feel. That's how people become famous. You're building up a story that's portraying lies. But when you dissect those lies and you contradict them, you got to ask, why did they give that actor this script. That's what she chose before she was born into this realm. Will we ascend today? That's the whole point of this video. That's why I put this right here. Will we ascend today? That's all that matters. If you're focused on dead narratives that don't matter, you're not ascending. You cannot transcend. So there is no resurrection or revelation for you, because you are killing yourself every single day by putting your thought into unconscious beings. Lucifer saved her life, so we already covered that. But people who go into sports feel as if the sport will save their life. But once the ball stops bouncing, once you stop throwing the ball, once you stop hitting the ball, once you stop kicking it, what will you do with your life? This deity cannot save you. It's only making you think as if you're safe through a safety net by the childhood sport that you were trained to play. Transurrection, meaning that this being will resurrect herself through another transgender that will off themselves or kill somebody else or act as if they're killing somebody else, because all they're doing is putting crisis actors into the forefront for what people are not able to understand. So for them to keep this agenda going, they need you to have your DNA restructured to where now when they take possession of your child or you, they will now alter you and your way, change your gender to where now you're not aware of what you're being, but when you become knowing of what that thought is in the back of your mind, you stop suppressing it, you stop numbing it, you stop drugging it, and then you become more loving of what the answer is. No matter what, all that matters from beginning to end is love is the answer for what we cannot fathom in life. When we love the darkest play that life has scripted, we now stop hating on what we chose to watch ourselves play the script in. We are the reason for these projections because it's timeless, and we watch time go by in our highest observation, so we cannot feel any kind of way for how ignorant this realm has been. We're looking through a glass every single day by a luminary. When you shine a luminary bright upon your false light bearing, what do you get to see? Because in darkness, we are projected to be chaotic. When you scatter your energy now, are you being more aware of yourself? Now, when your DNA becomes aware of itself, how can you signal your multidimensional realm to where you can now exist in that timeline and sit still with that focus to where you can bring that focus down here? When you bring that focus up there to down here, you now get to see that this realm does not matter. Then when you leave your body, this realm never mattered to itself because there are no thoughts here, but we are watching thoughts that think they're here, but these thoughts think they're here because there are false embodiments of different satellites that signal what they're blocking our mind from revealing. Have a great and divine day, divine reflection.